Yeah, I wrote down a description of what moving mirror means. So let
Okay.
me pull that up.
Did you write it down or did AI? I knew it.
So I just read it.
Yeah.
I mean, memorize it.
Eventually, you're going to have to memorize it.
Yeah. Okay. Well, eventually I'll memorize this. Welcome to Moving Mirror Podcast. We are your hosts, Alana and David. Moving Mirror will take you on a captivating journey through the minds of trailblazers, pioneers, and visionaries who are shaping the future of their industries. In the rapidly evolving world, staying ahead requires more than just keeping with the latest trends. It depends on the ability to learn and mirror the movements from those who have paved the way.
I love it.
Yeah. Okay.
We came up with it.
I'll just skip to it's a very long intro. Let me skip to the bottom. So join us as we push the boundaries of what's possible and learn how to become a moving mirror. I'll memorize that.
Well, also, a mirror can be like doing self-reflecting.
Well, that's all purpose. That's yeah.
Oh, did we not sync up on that?
AI didn't sync up on that, so I didn't think about doing the first podcast with her. So. Do you want to talk about how we met?
No, I don't think people want to know that. Oh, Roy says thumbs up. We met in high school. I was the cool girl and you were the loser.
You tell your version, and then I'll tell mine.
I'm trying to think of the succinct version. This is so awkward.
It's not awkward.
Okay. I was on dance team.
You can't move your head.
Oh man. I was on dance team and you were a football player and I always thought you were cute and you never noticed me until after you graduated. And then that was it.
Did we just rekindle on Snapchat or what?
No, and then you came to my senior dinner.
Oh, you're going back to high school.
Did you did you come to my senior dinner for me?
Yeah, well, and Jack Michael and David Ford, but yeah.
But why would they have been at my senior dinner? They were older.
They were dating people in your class, I think. Oh no, Alice and Michael was in your class.
Okay, so you didn't really come for me.
I came for a good time.
Anywho. And then that was it. And then on my senior skip day, actually on senior physics day, I skipped it and went and visited you in Texas State. And you pulled
Do you remember our first kiss?
Yeah. In the back of Kyle's truck. When you tried to tell me to look at the moon or something.
Do you remember our second kiss after that?
No.
It was in my I had a was it the Lincoln?
No. Wait, the second time we started dating?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, when you dropped me off at the apartment?
Yeah. We remember the song playing?
A red light. And what a cheesy song.
Oh man.
Okay, yeah, and then fast forward to college. We both dated other people. I was in a very long-term relationship. We were in a few long-term relationships. And real estate brought us back together. And you came to my office and you said, no, the secretary, receptionist, whatever, was like, there's David Garcia here to see you.
No big deal.
Who am I looking at?
Me?
Oh. And I was like, wow, I haven't heard that name in a minute. And then you came to my cubicle and we've literally been together ever since.
Okay.
After that, we went to lunch.
That's your version.
And then we've been together ever since. No?
Well, it's close, but in high school, I lied to you, but we were never together.
You never admitted that you liked me.
And then I went to college. We went to college. We hung out. And then in 2016, I saw you in the magazine over and over again at Luxury Home.
You saw my face?
Yeah, you're on the back cover. So every time we get a new issue, I would fold the magazine. I'd see your face.
I picture you having like cutouts of a shrine like on Hey Arnold.
I feel like every issue you got prettier and prettier. And so just kind of...
Stop. It was the same headshot.
And so my job was to drop off magazines. And so I would drop off the magazine. I went to your office sweating. And that's when I was like, okay, she's peaking. She's on her way up. Like she started down here, but she's on her way up.
I really did start really ugly.
And then we went to Stoneworks. You ordered double size of mashed potatoes with no vegetables, and I
substituted my vegetables for another portion of
sold again.
Hold on, but what was my meal?
Chicken fried steak.
Yeah, that's right.
And then we got invited to Worst Fest, and before we left to the parking lot, you had purchased like 20 beer tickets and like a bunch of tickets for like food. So she cares about food and turkey legs and beer. And
I feel like this is a good point. I did that because I never wanted, till this day, I never wanted guys to think I was like a moocher, or like I was like that girl that was gonna just like take advantage.
No,
and like,
you just love turkey legs and beer.
well, yeah, but I also wanted you to know that like, hey, I'm gonna buy these because like I'm grateful for you and inviting me with all your friends. So like I got drinks and food. Like I feel like there's like you always have to have that balance. And I know that like this is a different generation in 2023, and like yeah, I do think guys should like pay for dinner and make the first move and do all those things. But I also think that like on the flip side, girls can offer to like pay for drinks after dinner, or pay for the movie ticket, or pay for the whatever it is. Like, I don't know. So I guess that was just my way of saying like, look, I'm not just going to freeload.
Well, I appreciate that. You saved me $40.
No, in the long run, now it's a different story.
Yeah. Okay. So anyway, so from Worst Fest on, I think I was just in, and I feel like we moved really fast. Like,
but because we knew each other already, I would have never gotten engaged to somebody after 9 months that I just met.
But from that point on, I feel like our lives have been just
nonstop. I think that's also our toxic trait. Like I think you and I get restless when things are calm.
Yeah. Well, we were in the same apartment complex 3 times.
This is true. We
moved
moved every year.
From unit to unit.
From building 1 to 3 to 5.
And then we got a house, sold that. Got a house, sold that. And now we're in an awesome house. I love it.
That we're probably going to sell in like a year and a half.
Yeah. Okay.
So that's just our toxic trait.
Let's go to, I want to dive straight into real estate. So you have your starting title. Well, I guess you had your start in PR. You had your own PR company. You grew that. You create a lot of relationships and networks that help you to stay still. And then you went to title, learned the ins and outs of title, real estate, rekindled with me. So, and eventually I think my dream was to, when we first got together, was to merge and work together and build something great. And so that's kind of where we are now. But I think it's kind of cool that we have different circles of life that finally all come together, and it's all for us. Or for us, as in us. Like, were you crying? Oh.
No, I was going to ask if you were.
I'm not crying.
Okay.
Just a little bit.
Me getting into title was a complete and total accident. Like nobody grows up saying like, I want to get into title insurance. Like I didn't even know what that is. But I also think that fate, the way that like everything lined up, like you went and got your master's in nutrition and dietetics.
Yeah.
And I went and had a PR company. How did you and I both end up in real estate and doing what we're doing? So I also think like fate is a huge thing. And then like the fact that it brought us back together. I mean, obviously there was social media and you and I were Snapchatting and whatever, but I
think having Stella kind of motivated me. Well, okay. I think there was a point when I was working at Luxury Home Magazine, which shout out to Tomas. We'll do a podcast with him soon. A great mentor of ours, that I wanted to be in real estate. I was already kind of doing real estate, and I see all these successful agents, and I was like, I really can do this. I'm doing it now, and I want to do it full time. And I was talking to you about it, and you were like, just do it. Like you were very pushing for me to do what I wanted because I was not living the dream I wanted to live, and you were like, just do it. And so that push, I think, helped me start the real estate career and grow it, with in the back of my mind kind of knowing that eventually I wanted to work with you in real estate. And even though maybe you didn't want to, I kind of forced you.
No. If you, back when I was in title, at another title company, they would always make us write down like your...
You got to talk towards the mic, kiddo.
They would always make us write down like what our goals were for the day, like what we wanted to accomplish and get done for the day, what our goals were, like our 1-year goals, our 5-year goals, our 10-year goals. And I'll never forget, I probably have them somewhere. I mean, I don't know where now, but in the move, but I know I have them written somewhere, that in a notepad I'd written like, in 5 years from now, I want to be in business with my future spouse. And I didn't know who that was. But I'd said I want to like retire my parents. I said I wanted a white car with black rims, which like every car I've ever had has been a white car with black rims. I said like back in the day I wanted like the big Louis Vuitton bag. I got it. I wanted an Apple Watch because it had just come out. I got it. Like it was like little tiny things, and then it was also like big goals and big dreams. I wanted to go on my dream honeymoon with whoever that was or whatever. And so then you kind of like start subconsciously fulfilling that. There is so much power in writing stuff down, because I went back and I looked at it and I was like, oh my God, like check. There was one that was like really ridiculous looking back on it, and it said I wanted to do a fitness competition. Like a bikini competition. Who, me? Like, are you kidding? I know. Maybe I think it was like a goal to get in shape.
Not saying you couldn't. I'm just saying that it's
I think it was like a goal to get in shape, which now X amount of years later, I feel like I'm like motivated more than ever now that I have 2 kids. But
Yeah.
anywho's, I don't need to do a fitness competition, but like also like life is my stage. You know what I mean? Like the beach, walking around in a bikini at a beach, like with 2 kids, like you don't want people to be like, oh. Anywho, so I did write that down. I did say I wanted to be in business with my future spouse, and I will find that paper somewhere, and I want to frame it. And I had said like
I
I
know
wanted
where
to
it's
do,
at.
I wanted to own franchises, I wanted to get in business with him, I wanted to do all these things, like everything that I think is so creepy that we are living through now, because I have not touched that paper in a while, but I do remember it, and I remember it was like on a small notepad. I remember everything. So I know you said whether that wasn't part of my plan. It actually was. I just didn't know with whom.
Wow.
So here you are.
Glad it's me. Thank you for that.
Yeah.
So, okay. So I started with another brokerage previously to building Evoke Realty. And I got my start there, grew my client base, had a small team. Leroy joined. And then eventually, with you being in title, you were building agent business. You were creating leads for them, marketing campaigns for them, really helping them grow their business. And at that time, I was like, well, you're doing this for every other agent but your husband and his brokerage, that why don't you just join us and we can finally work together. And I think having Stella was a big motivation, and then having Juliet, or about to have Juliet, was like, we need to do something now, because
I also think I might say something like controversial, but I also think like to be in this business, in any side of it, whether you're in lending, in title, insurance, like if you're good, you have a good network of people, and you've been in the business a while to where you've built up your business, like there's a lot of money that to be made, and a lot of money you can make. And at one point I was 25 years old making 6 figures, like making a lot of money that I had no idea what to do with, but I still had no freedom. And it's like I wanted autonomy. Like, yeah, I was in sales and like nobody was really asking what I was doing or where I was at. But at the same time, though, like I was still underneath the thumb of a corporate company and of management. And at some point they were asking, what are you up to and where you're at? And I'm just like, I've been in the business too long, and I'm too well connected, and I know my stuff. Can we cuss?
what do you want to say?
I know my shit.
Oh, gosh, how dare you say shit?
I know. Enough to like not, I don't know. I just felt like I was like, look, I've been doing this for almost 10 years. Like I make good money, and it was nice having benefits, like having a kid. But I was like, I don't have any freedom, and I don't have any power, and I don't have any autonomy. And like, I still have to request time off. And I get it that like, that's such a first world problem. And there's so many other people, they're like in high ranking positions that like, that is how they make their money, because they work at a corporate job and they are some C-level, employee or CEO or whatever it is. Like, I get it. But for you and I's personality, that was not, you and I could not be confined. And I did have the best of both worlds. Being in sales, it just kind of depended on like where I was at and the leadership and the management and stuff, because some of it like let me spread my wings and let me do my own thing and trusted me. And then there was others that like pulled in the reins, and I was just like, you know what? I have built up almost 10 years, thousands and thousands of agents' businesses, and I business plan, and I train them, and I show them how to cultivate business and how to retain business. Why am I not doing that on such a micro level? Not only for just you, because if it was just for you, you would just be your own broker. You'd be your own broker, and I would work for you, and that was it. That would be it. We wouldn't have agents. We wouldn't be growing. We wouldn't be trying to create a team or trying to create this huge, company. But it was like building up everybody else. And I was like, okay, how can I just do this on a micro level for just the agents at our brokerage? And in turn, the more successful they are, the more successful the brokerage is. And it's just a ripple effect. And then word starts to get out, which is exactly what's doing, of like people saying, oh, I've been recognizing your brokerage. Y'all look so happy. Is it true? What's on the inside? Are the videos, blah, 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 blah. So I think that's what it was like. And that was a hard decision, because we were leaving my set income, I guess, per se, or, benefits and insurance and all of that, to be able to take like this huge leap of faith. But at the same time, like you and I both know that we could do it. It was just a matter of like when, and coming off of piggybacking off of COVID. Who knows where we would have been had I not stayed in my job during COVID, because we kind of had that. My job at the time, my former title company, was really good about making sure everybody stayed employed. And so I don't know. I think that more money does not necessarily mean more freedom. And I think for us, you and I really wanted to have full autonomy and like live our life to the greatest. And we couldn't do that if we had like the golden handcuffs.
Well, you and I are built differently, to where
right.
at my previous job, I was doing real estate, but I wasn't. There was not enough time in the day for me to go out, show, do contracts, while working an 8 to 5 or 8 to 6 p.m. job. And when I left, it wasn't had nothing to do with position. It had everything to do with I need my time. Time is everything. And with you coming on board, growing something for us instead of for somebody else meant more to me, because now we're looking in the long term of where I want our family to be, the company to be. To me, that was it meant more than the steady pay of having a corporate job.
Well, and I think just knowing that like anything you and I want to do, we can do it. Like we're not being held back by, oh, there's a non-compete or a conflict of interest, or, oh, I don't want my company to find out about it. Or there's just like, there's nothing like if you and I say we want to do something, like you and I just do it. Like, we find a way to execute it or bring somebody on. And I think the number one thing that I learned, and that this has really rubbed off on you maybe too much. And I learned this from Nikki Salter. Shout out. We need to have Nikki on the podcast.
Yeah, we need to redo with her.
Yeah, we need to redo with her. Is leverage. Yeah. Like even though I left my job and I'm now here with you and aiding the company, it's not like I've taken on every single role. If anything, the first thing we did after bringing me on, like you and I starting this, was like, who can we hire next? Mm-hmm. And it was like operations, manager, like it was social media, it was all these things. It was who can we leverage out to help us do our job at a better, greater, higher level. And that's something for sure that I've learned from Nikki, is you and I are like, if we can pay somebody to do it, we will. And that's not because like either we don't want to do it, maybe we're just not equipped, maybe we don't know how to do it.
You're equipped, we just don't.
But there's certain things where we're just like, our time, that's not the highest and best use of our time.
Yeah.
Like if we can pay these little high school kids in our neighborhood to like break down boxes, why not?
Why did I bring that up?
Well, because I'm just saying it's like a perfect example, like versus having to get into the nitty gritty of like our business. But like, why do that when instead that can be an extra hour you're here at the office knocking out work, or an extra hour that you're with the kids? Like,
well, kids, yes, but I picture you and I. Well, I know you and I's role in this company is not behind a computer. There's a lot of admin stuff we do and a lot of grinding we do behind the computer, but some of the basic tasks that companies should leverage out and bring it on in operations, or bringing on somebody to do video and edit this podcast, like I can do it. But my time and value is not well spent there. My time and value is nurturing the agents we have, growing the company, taking care of my clients and my business.
Well, and I think that's also why you and I, the first priority was making sure that everybody we have an in-house TC, transaction coordinator, because I always tell our agents, like, your job is to not paper push. Your job is to not manage the title company or the lender or anything like that. Your job is to go out and get more business and to get out in front of clients, be, with your clients, be present, doing whatever it is that you got to do to go out and get more business, and then let your transaction coordinator and your title company and your lender and everybody handle everything, which is why it's so important to like partner up with the right vendors and partner up with the right title company and the right lender and the right home warranty and insurance. All these people have to line up and create this perfect equation and perfect marriage to get your deal to the finish line and to make it look effortlessly for your client. So then your clients in turn are like, wow, he made that look so easy. Like, I'm going to refer him to everybody I know, which is, I think, a credit to you, because I think, for example, like with your network of in your pocket of like all the doctors that you work with, like all it takes is just, it was one good experience that parlayed to the next, to the next, to the next. And all these doctors are moving here and they don't know anybody. And so to have like a familiar name and face and somebody, and all their, predecessors and all the people that came before and after them, like,
what a good word, man. So her vocabulary gets me every time.
It's not even a big word.
It's big for me, all right?
Anywho.
I know escrow, that's about it.
Escrow commission. Anywho, so I just think that that's something that's important too, is to make sure that you're making your job look easy, but then that's also that's the leverage behind the scenes, that like we've got a million people and things and processes and systems in place to make what we do look easy and look effortless and look like we are just kind of like, I don't know. I think it's kind of a compliment when people are like, oh, your business is just like falling into your lap. It's like, if you only knew.
Yeah, if you only knew.
Like, good. We're making it look effortless. Like, I'm glad that you think that all I do is like hang out all day, because you really don't see the 1,000,012 things that I do behind the scenes. And same thing with you. I mean, everybody's always like, can I shadow you? And you're like, you're going to be really bored.
Yeah. Well, I mean, there's some days that are fun. But, okay, so I want to go back a little bit. I want to talk about your experience growing your PR company, because I think that ties in a huge, ginormous play into my business when I first started and what it is now, and then also the brokerage of what value you have from that, because a lot of agents, they don't picture themselves as a marketing company, as a content company, or even a PR company, because with agents, image and their name is everything when you started your career doing that for other companies. So
Okay, let me take a sip of this really gross Pellegrino.
so obviously the PR company was something that started, you grew it, and then you found in the passion real estate title, but then you ended up coming back to kind of something similar to what PR is, just in a different industry.
So, I got my degree in and actually, I kind of got like a weird degree plan.
It's Spanish.
So I started off in the College of Business at UTSA, and I was on the track to do marketing. And I guess at the time you couldn't get a marketing minor, so I was on path to do marketing. And then I got a really cool internship for the People en Español Festival, which came to San Antonio I think only like 2 years. And it was the People en Español magazine, and they had this big 3-day concert. Am I boring you?
I'm sorry. Clients at the office.
They're here?
But he's dropping off something.
Got my start, People en Español Festival. It was a 3-day festival, and that's when I really realized, like, okay, I don't think I understand the difference between marketing and PR. I thought it was all kind of the same. I thought it was like the girl with the clipboard, like with all the media, and I was like, no, that's not marketing. Marketing is back in the day. This was what, 2009 I graduated high school, so this was like in 2010. So like marketing has changed tremendously. And so it was in the day, like marketing was like ROI and sales and numbers and statistics and all that stuff, which I mean still is till this day. If you work for like a big company and you're like the marketing department, I'm sure a lot of it is the statistics side of it and the ROI and all that. But then there was no like content creation back in the day. And then there was PR, and it was like writing press releases, writing media advisories. You were a publicist, and you were like a cool person. You were like the liaison between like a celebrity or an artist or a restaurant or a chef or whatever it is, whoever your clientele was, and getting them in front of the media. And so I did that internship, and I was like, man, this is way more up my alley. I was like in the war room with all of, did that just die? Oh, I was in the war room with all of the celebrities, all of like the, all of the musicians. They were doing like, they were taking like questions from the press. And then I was like jumping on a golf cart with them and like taking them to the next interview, private interview, and then taking them to their backstage. And it was just a really cool experience. And on top of it, it was like all these artists, like these famous artists like Luis Miguel and stuff like that. So it was really cool. And I got to write all the press releases for it. I got to pitch it to the media. I got to take Chris Perez around before y'all were all friends, and got to take him around to all the different media outlets and stuff. And so
we need to have Chris Perez on here.
Yeah.
Yeah, it'd be fun.
Little Dave.
Yeah.
And so then I came back to my college advisor, and I was like, I think I want to do PR. I think this is more along the lines of what I want to do. And she's like, well, you're so far into your marketing plan. You either need to see it through, or you're going to have to take some extra time. Well, some things worked out in my favor. Number one, I had only had to take one more finance class to complete my marketing plan. And I was able to count as a minor, which like, I guess didn't exist at the time. Maybe UTSA offers it now. And then also, I would have to stay an extra semester or year to graduate, but I was able to clep out of Spanish 1 through 4. So I was able to get like a whole semester or 2 semesters like worth of credit for Spanish. So then that ended up keeping me on track. I still graduated a semester later, like in December instead of May, but it was worth it. So got my bachelor's of arts in communication studies with a concentration in PR with a minor in marketing.
It's a lot.
So then I did that. I started a PR firm on accident because I went and worked for that former PR firm that I did the internship. Then I was like, you know what? I'm going to take a break. And I had a friend of mine who reached out to me that was a musician, and he was like, hey, can you help me? Like, I'm launching an album. Can you help me write a press release? And I was like, sure, I'll do like a whole media kit for you, right? So it was back in the day when you dropped off media kits at like stations. So I did a whole media kit for him, and he offered to pay me, are you ready? $1,000 for a year.
Oh, wow. Nice.
I thought I was the richest woman in the world. I was like, I'm going to splurge. And you want to hear what I splurged on?
Where's that mindset? No, I'm just kidding.
You want to know what I splurged on?
What?
A Subway sandwich. Because I was like a poor college kid.
You spent $1,000 on a Subway sandwich?
No. Like the very first thing I did when he paid me was like I cashed that check, and I was like, I'm going to go splurge and get like a Subway. Because I was like a poor college kid living at home. But anywho. And then one thing led to another. And like, so I take it back. I helped one client for free. He referred me to, actually that was Ryan Proudfoot.
No, big fan.
And then, am I allowed to name drop?
I think
And then his producer is the one that said, "Hey, if this is seems like you're really good at it, I'll pay you $1,000." That's what it was. Anywho, so I started my company, and one thing led to another, and we just started going to like networking events, and we had a lot of restaurants here. We had musicians. We had Fashion Week San Antonio for I think 1 or 2 years, and then within the first 9 months, San Antonio Current ranked us the number 3 fastest growing startup in San Antonio.
Wow.
We had pitched like a big hotel. Remember I told you last week I got pleurisy, or I got like really chest pains? That was because I pitched a huge hotel. The hotel a hotel here reached out to my company and said, I need you to pitch what your whole plan would be. It was like for Halloween or something like that. And they were doing like haunted tours. And I was like, oh my God, this is going to be like a big break. And I like put myself in the hospital. I was so stressed out. And then one thing led to another, and I got asked to get in title on the sales and marketing side. That Pellegrino.
I don't think we'd be together if you weren't in title. Like,
how would we have ever even like reconnected? I mean, social media, we could have reconnected because of social media. But here's the thing why I don't think we would have made it. I think the schedule, like your lifestyle. And I tell that to people all the time. I'm like, I could not be with anybody else that's not in this business because it's a way of life. Like this is a mindset. This is what we live, breathe, eat. It's our lifestyle. Like I couldn't be married. I couldn't have been in title and you've been, working like a 9-to-5 job. And like, there I am doing stuff for clients in the evenings or going to events and networking. And you're like, well, I'm done. Like I clocked out. Nobody bothers me. Or like if you were in the medical industry and like when you clock out, you clock out. I'm so jealous of that sometimes.
Yeah.
But then at the same time, I think on the flip side, like we're in such a unique business. You and I were talking about this the other day where like at some point, somebody always needs to buy a house. Like it's one thing to be in like the car business. Like you can only sell one type of car or one brand. But like in real estate,
you need shelter.
Yeah, you need shelter, whether it's an apartment or a rental. Like, and then you're not limited to like, I can only do this or I can only do this. Like, so that's what I think is really cool. And so it's like the endless sale. Like it just kind of keeps going.
But it also doesn't feel like a sale.
No.
Like, I think it's, at least for me and for us, like, yeah, I sell houses. I do real estate. I sell a lot. But at the same time, like we have, I don't know how many other agents in our brokerage that do the same thing I do. So I kind of feel like I'm not just by myself. We're just one giant team. And so it doesn't feel like a job. It just feels, I sometimes have to snap myself back into reality, realizing that I get to do something I really, truly love every day with somebody I truly love.
Okay. I'm glad. Thank you. Is that me?
That was actually Eric.
It's actually Leroy. I'm glad you said that because the other day, when there was like a couple of crazy deals happening.
Oh yeah. And
you were like getting really frustrated. And I was like, please don't tell me you want to quit this job. Like, I was like, what else would we do? Because you were just like,
I think
it was, okay. You know what it is? In this business, when it rains, it pours.
Yes,
you will
that's
have
exactly
like
what it is.
Beautiful, great, easy, like too good to be true, like few weeks, few months, like whatever. And then all of a sudden it's like 3 or 4 deals that are just like,
in like a 3-hour span.
In like a 3-hour span. And you're just getting hit and attacked from every angle. And I was so worried you were going to like come out from the other room and be like, I want to, like, I'm done. And I was just like, no, please, no, please,
I wasn't there, but I was very, very stressed.
There was a time where like you got off the phone with that one agent and you like punched the wall.
That was early in my career. Yeah.
I know. That was when you didn't know how to manage stress.
No, but I always say for every bad deal, there's always a good deal to follow.
Right.
And the next day I met a client and a listing company who was very nice. And
I also think karma is huge in this business.
Yeah.
Like, that's why I always tell people you don't burn bridges.
Yeah.
You do not burn bridges. You always stay respectful. And I think that there's like a really fine line between like being fake and being genuine, but also being respectful, but also being professional. Like, I know that there's so many people that are just so disingenuous in this business to try to get a deal done. And I also think that that's like, I don't agree with that. Like, I think there's some I don't know. I just think that like having a backbone is also says a lot, but then at the same time, like still remaining professional, still remaining in control, and still remaining respectful.
I think my biggest lesson of every stressful deal, when I'm either on the phone or on text or I get a bad email, old David, like early career David, would have been like immediate response. I would either let the client know or I would text back immediately, or everything was a fire. And it took me a while to just realize that if I just let the situation breathe and think about my response and not freak out and don't respond to a client until I have a solid answer, that saved a lot of what I thought were fires were not. And so that's the biggest lesson for me was in the 3 hour spin I had the other day of just stressful deals and really about to lose it, that I just had to like sit there and let everything kind of settle and then revisit it that night and just kind of figure out my response for everybody.
Well, and I also think that there's like power in letting everybody chill.
Yeah.
Usually, I feel like 9 times out of 10, your clients end up coming back to you being like, okay, I thought through it. Let's not do that after
Yeah.
all. Or, hey, that was a bad idea. Like, is it too late? Like, I think it's just ultimately letting your clients, because this is also very exciting or sad or scary. I mean, I've been on the other end of this deal, 3 times now? And every time I'm still like, I always say I'm your worst client because I'm like, where are we at with this? Where are we at with this? Well, what does this mean? Well, like,
you
so
mean
it's like
us buying a house?
Right.
Oh,
so I'm
yeah.
like, I can only imagine what it's like for a lay person that's like not in this business to
Yeah.
not understand. I know what certain title documents are, and I know what timelines are, and I know what the lender needs from us and all those things, but it's like, it's still exciting or anxious or nerve wracking or whatever. You're on deadlines. I mean, you and I, our past house was wild because of the deadline and the timing of everything. And then to top it off, I was 39 weeks pregnant and then trying to move with a newborn and do showings. It was like this whole thing. And so, I think just there's a little bit of power in like just letting your clients chill and letting them it's like therapy. Like let them come to their own conclusion. Like you hear them out, you listen to them.
It doesn't do much help if I'm freaking out too. If
Right.
I'm stressed, then they're stressed. Then where's my role in anything? Like I think as an agent's job, your job is to make sure everything's calm. Everybody's calm. You don't get emotionally attached to anything. I told Cindy today. Like I work for every client, or I represent them. I'm sorry, I represent every client. I try my best for them, but I don't work for them. I work for the deal. I make sure the deal actually happens. Because if I get emotionally tied into their feelings and their opinions, then I'm essentially just another version of them.
Right.
I need to be
A
somewhere
mediator.
in the middle and actually work to make the deal happen and make it to the closing table. So like, yeah, a lot of things don't go the buyer's way or the seller's way or the agent's way, and everybody gets upset. But at the same time, I think every client probably understands that agent is working to make the deal actually happen and close. So that was a big thing. But okay, I want to bounce.
Oh, I never finished my story.
Okay, what story was that?
Oh, and then I got into title, and then I got asked to join title, and then
that was going to lead me to my next
Oh.
thing. So we started Evoke.
Okay,
and
you just fast forward.
I'm gonna jump past the.
We started Evoke because number one, we saw that there was a hole in the market for a brokerage that offered what we offered. And by no means am I thinking that like we are the coolest, latest, greatest.
Well, we are.
I mean, there is something to say for when like you're your own biggest supporter and fan. But I also think that like just the way that we run our business, the way that like the culture, I think we've built a really cool culture. The things that we offer is really different. And so being in business together was something that we've always wanted to do. And in both of our former like companies and associations, like it just wasn't going to play out that way. So we were like, all right, well, if we want something to happen, we're just going to have to build it. And so we ended up saying, here's what we're going to do. Let's do it.
Can you talk about the name? Because I remember like during the idea of saying, hey, we need to do something on our own for us, for our family, for our kids. We have a handful of agents that are phenomenal that we want to grow something with. And we have more that are interested. And I want to do this for our family. And we were sitting there in our media room, like during the transition of everything and trying to figure out a name. And the name had to be something very particular, it meant something to us that was special and different and cool branding. And the reason why we chose Evoke was...
Well, Mark Cuban once said, invest in a company whose name is a verb, because you never heard somebody say like, I'm going to go Yahoo that. They always say like, I'm going to go Google that. Granted, Google, I feel like was this arbitrary name at one point and then now has become a verb. And that was actually after you and I came up with the name, and I was like, okay, that just like co-signed exactly where our head was at. I wanted a name to be synonymous with like emotion and hard work, and I wanted it to create something in people. And so you and I we just kind of started off with like on the Webster's Dictionary app, and I just typed in like hard work, passion, teamwork, resilience, and I just kept looking up like synonyms.
Well, we didn't want some average. We didn't want some average name. We didn't want like.
No, we can't even use an example because it'll exist. Yeah,
but we wanted something that was unique and that we could scale. We could leverage,
and it could be interchangeable with a lot of other things. And so you hear these big brokerages, and we didn't want to use our last name because if it was my maiden name, that'd be one thing. But like our last name is like everybody. I mean, it's a common last name, and so we didn't want to do that because that doesn't really stand out. For example, like Sirhan, he can do that, or Douglas Elliman, like they can do that. And so
We could have done D'Antonio.
we should have. And yeah, we could have. I mean, anywho.
It's not too late.
So we wanted something that just like evoked, and we kept saying that, like we want to evoke hard work, we want to evoke passion, we want to evoke this and that. And at first we thought invoke, but then I looked that up and I was like, that's not the right word. That's the wrong tense or the wrong version of it. But it still kind of got across what we wanted. We were like, we want to evoke all these feelings. We want to evoke homeownership, and they're like, wait. Evoke, like why are we just not evoke in general? And then people can just use it as like, oh, I'm with Evoke, and it's like you don't even have to say realty or real estate or group or team or whatever, like, oh, I'm with Evoke. And I feel like that's just such a strong name. And then from there, like everything fell into place, and that's how I knew we were onto something.
Well, I also got very excited because the point where we're like, we're gonna do this for us and for ourselves and for our family, and we're gonna grow this to be really big. I got like a little kid because like there's so much possibility. We can do
literally endless
whatever we wanted to, and you know, you and I's personality is very entrepreneurial. Like we wanted to just
jump and build the parachute.
You want
to
go, and we did, and we went.
Right.
I mean, I think we grew a company in less than 30 days. Like it was literally not a single hour of every single day that I wasn't doing something generating the company's business or doing something with the company. So Evoke was built for scale. It was built for the future of knowing that we can be in various cities, various states. We can franchise out eventually. We can be in different countries. You know, so to me, having that possibility as opposed to where we were kind of restricted on the name prior to where we were at, this meant that we can brand in any way we wanted to. And we did. We got Evoke Property Management, Evoke Commercial, Evoke Downtown, Evoke Coastal. I mean, it's everything we want to do, and it benefits every agent we have.
Well, and I think a lot of the agents have really taken on the name, and it's become their branding and their personality. Versus like the former name was like very limiting. It was very like geographically limiting, the branding, the colors, everything. But it's like here, the agents have really grasped it and made it their own personality. Like now even they love to say like evoke hard work, evoke luxury, evoke limitless potential. Like even they like to make it their own. And
it's a cool font. Cool colors.
You're welcome. You're welcome. You're welcome. I was the one that said, hey, here's all the things we can do. We even, Evoke Media, and like now it's even grown into this whole thing. And so, I mean, it doesn't have to just be real estate. I mean, I think of the Sotheby's where like it's. Well,
I ordered shirts. You see the shirts that I ordered?
No.
So I got shirts that just say Evoke. There's no realty. It's just Evoke. And so now we're like.
Just a name. We're like Madonna.
Yeah.
We're like Madonna and Beyonce. We're just on
like
one
Leroy,
name. Just Elroy. So I think that's something that was really important to us, was like just a name that you could either just say it on its own. You could say Evoke Realty. I wanted a name that people were proud of.
Yeah.
And that's something different. That's where I think a little bit of our pushback was where you were with former, is the name was just kind of
blah.
Kind of fell flat.
Yeah.
And so, because it was, again, geographically limiting, it was like you tried to like expand it into other markets, but it didn't sync up the way it was. It was very hard. So we wanted something that could be unanimous and everywhere. Like it could be everywhere, and it could just be evoke anything. Like, and so, like you said, scalable. So yeah, so I really love that the agents have like taken on the name as their own versus like, oh, I just joined like a big box name brokerage and like, okay, that's what I do. But like I'm creating my own team name within it. And they don't really, it's like in the very small fine print is like, oh, whatever their big name brokerage is. Right, powered by big brokerage. But they don't want to really claim that because for one reason or another. And so I feel like a lot of our agents have really claimed it. And plus, when you and I were starting this, we had like 10 or 12 agents that were like waiting to make the jump. They were like, you tell us where, you tell us when, and we'll meet you on the other side.
And then when we said the name and the logo and branding, it was immediately like even more.
Yeah. And I think that's why people are like, dang, how did y'all do it all? And I'm like, well, we didn't recruit all these people overnight. Like these were all the people that they were bought into us because of what we provided and the leadership and the knowledge and the skills and the expertise that we know. They were bought into us and in our vision. And all of them were like, look, where y'all go, we go. Like, we follow wherever you go. And so we were just so blessed and fortunate that out of like 20 agents, 19 of them came with us. Like, and we were going to just let whoever wanted to come with us. Like if we were going to start carte blanche, we were.
Right.
And if it was just you and I talked about that. We were like, if it's just you and I, fine, great. We'll figure it out and we'll grow from there. And then, well, we always knew Elroy was coming with us.
So, I mean, I was originally by myself. I worked for myself. I built a business based on content video for a long, long time. And I think agents in our brokerage saw that consistency in video content and marketing and saw that the success that came from that.
Well, they also saw the sweat equity that you put in.
Yeah, I'm in the trenches. I always say I'm always in the trenches with you guys. You know, the market shifts. I feel it too. And so to me, I wanted to build a brokerage with very cool branding, very cool logo, scalable, but more importantly, that's on the same vision of marketing that I am. It's a content-driven brokerage. I think that's the most important thing for me, and everybody saw that vision.
And I think the agents know that, like, if they come to us with an idea, very rarely are we going to turn it down unless, like, financially it doesn't make sense or logistically it doesn't make sense or thinking in the future if it doesn't make sense. Like, is it a great idea for now or is this going to be a long-term play? And so almost all of them, every time they've had an idea with us, we're like, all right, let's do it. Let's figure out how to execute. Here's how we can help. Here's your portion of it. And then let's do it together, like building downtown.
Well, that goes back to, okay, so that brings me to the reason that everybody decided to join Evoke was culture. Everybody had the same vision, same goal, same mindset. Was like, hey, the market's changing. Market trends are adjusting. Like, we need to go up with it or adapt it and figure out what we can do different. And I think every time we introduce a new idea, everybody's on board. And there's always another idea that gets sparked out. And then we try that. So there's always, like, everybody's always 100% in as one giant team.
Well, and I think that we're a good dynamic. And this is a testament of, like, playing up each other's strengths and filling in for each other's weaknesses, because I do have that marketing and creative background. And then you are just, like, brilliant on the real estate side, like as a broker and knowing. Can I help you?
Yeah, I'm listening. Sorry.
Y'all, story of my life.
I got a DocuSign. What is this DocuSign?
What?
There's a DocuSign. Anyways, go ahead.
And so I think that that's also the difference too, is that, like, you and I are able to play up each other's strengths, fill in each other's weaknesses. And I think that you and I have, like, a really good gig because I do have that. I am able to pull from my marketing and my PR side.
Yeah.
Well, I know the art of communication.
Well, any kind of idea I have is run by you. Like
/ half of your ideas are my ideas.
Well, that's not true. I sparked the podcast. I sparked the idea.
And then I did everything else.
Okay, yeah. Well, yeah. Okay. Not everything
It's
else.
okay, you can admit it. But also, I think, and then also, like, the art of communication, like, so much of this business, yeah, I get that it doesn't require much to get your real estate license. I get that. And that's how I think it weeds out a lot of people. The people that are successful have, like, really honed in on customer service or knowing their demographic or knowing their clientele or marketing. Some people are just fantastic at marketing, or you have some agents that, like, are completely off the grid, no social media, and are killing it. Like, so that's what works for them, is being off the grid. And so, you know, back in the day when I was in title, I would have maybe a 65-year-old agent that's like, teach me how to do Instagram. And I'm like, that's not how you're going to get business.
Yeah.
Like, how are you getting business now? Oh, by doing direct to consumer mailers? Then just keep doing that. Like, just keep pouring more time, energy, money, and effort into that. If that's how you're getting your business, if you're marketing at the retirement home and you're getting tons of business or whatever, like, then keep doing that. Instagram is not where you're going to get your business. So anywho, I feel like I say anywho a lot. Y'all are going to have to cut that out.
Anywho.
I guess it's better than like.
Yeah.
Anywho. Anywho. So I think that it's also just a matter of, like, your strengths are truly 110% the business side, the financial side, knowing that Trek inside and out, knowing Trek inside and out, knowing the financials, knowing how to be like all your broker responsibility. And that's why I refuse to get my license, because I don't want to be grouped in with, like, oh, well, number one, I don't want you to make me go show for you.
Yeah.
And number two, I don't want to be grouped in with, like, any of that liability. So it's like, I'm the marketing side of it. And I don't know. I feel like you and I just I've mastered the art of communication, I feel, in regards to, like, our public image and our culture. Online image and our
culture and stuff.
Our culture, I think, is huge. Like, you're managing 30 personalities, in which, mind you, we are predominantly women.
Yeah.
1, 2, 3.
Yeah, 5.
Y'all have
5
male agents. 5 male agents, not including Roy and Eric, who are in the office for media. But other than that, and then, like, 2 of the agents aren't aren't like super full time. Dom's in Austin.
Yeah.
So it's like, I mean, we are predominantly women, and that's really hard to manage a lot of women's personalities. And we are all strong. Every single one of the agents at our brokerage, like they are strong women. And so for all of us to be able to like be together in a room and empower each other and lift each other up and work together, and there's no catty BS, and there's
That's
no
why
drama.
I'm a good girl dad, just
Honestly, that is why you're a good girl
Probably.
dad.
yeah.
Anywho.
Okay,
Damn
so
it.
I want to see. Okay, I had this question planned for you because I may have a different answer than you do. What is your 2-year goal with Evoke, and then where do you see us in 10 years?
You really sprung that on me.
Yeah.
Even though I literally think about this every day, I'm trying to figure out how I can like summarize everything that goes on in my brain. 2 years from now, that'll be 2025. I picture us in a different office. We are outgrowing this space quicker than we moved in. I picture us in a bigger office where I'm going to talk on a couple different levels, like
Okay.
physically, literally, figuratively, all of it, right?
Yeah.
I picture us in a bigger office. All of our agents are there because that is one of the things. Again, we listen to our agents. The first time we made the move, almost every agent said that like they don't need an office, that they don't want an office, they don't want that accountability, they don't want the accountability, but they don't want to have the pressure of having to come in or paying rent or paying an office due or anything. Okay, so we did this office, we tore down a wall, and we made it agent collaborative. Well, now that our agents are growing, and I think everybody works together so well, now a lot of them have been wanting an office.
Yeah.
So that's next on our forefront, is finding an office that can accommodate all the other agents, maybe doing like a bullpen style or like just a check-in style. Maybe they do rent space. Anywho, so I would love to have a bit. Anyways, how I hate that. I would love for all the agents to have a place that they can call home and they can come here and they can, because you and Leroy and Eric and Roy are here for the most part all the time. But
Hold on one second. Pause that.
okay, so I would love a bigger office. Well, you and I, that's not even gonna be 2 years. That'll probably be in the next few months.
Well, it has to be in a year because.
Okay, well, that's true. We're gonna be out in big office, cool agent collaborative area. I would love for the media guys to have like a full media zone. Like there's backdrops already set up. There's a green screen already set up, like just all that. So that's like on an actual physical level. 2 years from now, double our agents. However, you are all about grow. And I'm all about quality, not quantity. I'd rather have 30 badass, good, motivated agents that are bought in, that are a part of our culture, that bleed Evoke, that are team players, than 100 where we don't know, we haven't seen or heard the bottom 30.
Yeah.
So I think that there's a difference in that. And I know you're thinking of scale and bigger and bigger. So yeah, if we can have 60 agents that are all doing $1 million a month, then that's fantastic. But the odds of that are, a little different. So, doubling slow and steady wins the race, but also like maybe having 60 agents and having a big training area and a big, I want to have a lot of our systems and processes really dialed in. I almost want to have somebody that does onboarding, and it's like an onboarding boot camp. That's something I've always wanted to do. And I was in the process of creating it, and then I had the baby. But I was creating like an onboarding checklist, like whether you're a new agent or you're coming in with 6 years of experience, like just how to weave into our culture. Like just, I don't know. You and I went and we were able to have firsthand look of every single person at Serhant and how they run. They have a whole chief technology officer, and they have literally 3 people dedicated to MailChimp campaigns.
Well, theirs was interesting. Their model is when you're an agent, you're either a junior agent or you're a lead agent. There's no like immediately
free.
Yeah, like
you're not like just a free. You have to go under somebody's team until you can.
Which is smart.
You cap out, right?
Yeah.
Then you can go on your own. So smart. Wouldn't be opposed to that. But then you have to find the agents that are wanting to be the team leads. Like then you have to find the agents that want to be the lead agents and that oversee them. So yeah, creating just like a manual. I have so many open tabs of things that I've created that I need to really go in and finish. We have a director of operations. She's fantastic. Being able to like really hone in on our gifting program. Like I just want to be known for being the best at everything. Like, wow, Evoke agents have the best gifts. Evoke has the best branding. Evoke has the best videos. Evoke has the best culture. Evoke is leader, market leader in all these demographics and all these zip codes. And wow, how are they somehow killing it in Rockport and Austin? Their first deal was our first listing was a $13 million penthouse. Like shout out to Dom. Like that's so badass. And so I don't know. I just want to be the best at all of it, but also I want to be good. Like, I don't want to be a jack of all trades, master of none. I want to be a jack of all trades, master of all of them. And we do them flawlessly and really dialed in. And then, 10 years from now, I mean, I always tell you and I tell everybody, like, the biggest compliment would be somebody wanting to either franchise our brokerage, which you and I did have a conversation about that about almost a year ago, about a big name brokerage wanting to buy us out essentially, or franchise with us. That's a huge compliment of saying, how can I replicate your model in different markets? And then we just have different area market leaders, which is something we've talked about in Arizona. And then I don't know, just I almost don't want to say where I picture us, because I don't want to limit us. To me, I'm like, in 10 years from now, the sky's the limit. Like, I almost don't want to put us in a box for like, this is what we're going to do. We're going to have 3 offices and we're going to have 16 employees. Like, because what if we have 30 offices and 600 employees? Like, I don't know. I just have always felt like, why limit us and why put us in a box? But yeah, something scalable. I would love to be in different markets, different states. I also really emulate the agency and what Mauricio's done. Like, he has not franchised out. He's just stayed direct owner, and then has just opened up all these different offices, which I think could be really cool. International, which we've partnered up with a company in Mexico, but to be able to actually have our own and have boots on the ground there, I think would be cool. Understanding that Mexican market, so different.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't want to be this company that's like, oh, we're great for training. Like,
Yeah.
you go to another big name brokerage for that. Like,
We're here for support.
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll support, and there's training
Come to
programs.
us if you want like badass content creation, and if
Yeah.
you want badass videos and
Something
I mean,
different.
right? Something different, and you want really good culture.
Okay. I mean, it's pretty close to what. It's similar. I think, yeah, maybe I'm a visionary and I just have really big dreams. But in 2
What's
years,
yours? I want to hear it.
well, in 2 years, I for sure want same thing, different office, bigger. Given that we're a media-driven company, I really want this space to be media-driven. I want that to be, the office needs to be content heaven. Like, it has to be something crazy different. Collaborative space is cool. We need that, but it needs to be mixed with everything we're doing. And so I want to the point in 2 years that when an agent comes on board, that the media is so quick and so easy that
Right.
there's no thought to it. And the whole
Right.
office is at disposal. You can do anything you want to. So that's important for me, because every time a video goes out from our agent, like, we take care of all that in-house. So whenever a video goes out, it's not only a marketing piece for them, but it grows our brand even stronger. So the more that I invest money into media, the more videos I do, the more content I do, and every time our agents post, Evoke's brand just keeps growing and growing and growing.
Well, and I do say, piggybacking off of that, I do picture us in 2 years from now having like 4 Eric and Roys.
I think we just get rid of Eric.
Eric's not here. Roy, are you in for the gig?
Roy, you're hired.
I think we have like 4, 5, 6 media. And I think what it is we have like 2 people always home base, editing. No, I think it'd be nice to have a huge media team. So that way we always have like 2 or 3 editors like back home just constantly editing.
Yes.
And then we have like Eric and Roy shooting live on the spot. And then maybe one person is on the spot live, but also like editing on the.
Oh, we're going to be so good at content that every agent's going to have their own series of shows. And then the brokerage itself will have a series of shows within the brokerage.
Well, I think that's something that you and I learned at the Dear Media thing that we went to. They were literally shooting, and as soon as they were done with something, they passed it off to somebody else. They were editing, and then already they were uploading it like in real time, but it was edited. It wasn't just stories. It was like so just, you and I are just always constantly learning. Like, you and I could be at a dinner and we could be like, look at the way that they did that. Like, we need to incorporate that, or we need to do this. Like, I don't know. I think that that's also another reason why I could not be with anybody else. Because number one, you and I have, sometimes our heads are in the clouds, but you and I both balance each other out with like being a visionary. Like, sometimes I think small and you think really big. And then there's times where you're like, let's do a hanging acrobatic artist at our house.
It makes sense.
To serve drinks. And I'm like, for the Christmas party. And I'm like, slow your roll. That sounds like a hazard and a liability. And so I think that you and I are really a good combination on that. But then at the same time, though, like, no idea I've ever said you've ever been like, that'll never happen, or like, that's unrealistic, or calm down. Like, you've never actually turned me down in regards to like our vision and our growth plan for the business. You've turned me down for a lot of stuff.
Oh yeah, a lot of stuff. And I think my thing is 6 years ago, I always wanted to have a brokerage. Like, my dream was exactly what I'm doing now. And now that I'm here living what I want to do, I don't really see an end to or a limit to what I can do.
Right.
As far as real estate, as far as content, as far as anything in the brokerage, that keeps falling.
There we go.
There we go. Okay.
It's fine. I'll sit
So
closer.
to me, like the limit does not exist. Like I'm
Right.
just every single day when Lyria walks in or somebody walks in or Eric's and Roy have an idea or video, I have an idea. Like if there is something that I want to do in the market, I'm gonna find a way to do it. And I want every agent in our brokerage to feel that. And I think that's important. And I think in 2 years, the office space, 1, will be badass. 2, will be growing in agent count for sure. But like you said, I've learned that quality is best. Like everybody needs to get along. Well, for the most part, everybody needs to have the same goals and visions and mindset.
No, I do think
That's
everybody
important.
needs to get along because I've seen in companies and I've seen in brokerages where it's like catty and tumultuous and it's like nobody wants to work in that environment. And also all it takes is one bad egg to spoil the whole thing. And all it takes is one cancerous person. And you and I have let go of some agents
Yeah.
because and it could be that they never even said one word, but that's also why. Because like being so lackadaisical and being so complacent rubs off on everybody because then they think, oh, well, I can get
It's
away with
okay.
doing the bare minimum. Or we've had some people that just like, they never showed up to anything. And I'm like, that's not how we roll. Like, I get it. You're all contracted employees, right? Employees used loosely, but like contracted agents, you're independent. However, we've built our brokerage on camaraderie and going to classes and training, setting up trainings and events. Like I'm not doing it for, I am doing it for fun, but like, I'm not doing it in vain. I'm doing it so everybody else learns and I'm growing and we're not doing like dumb meetings and self-serving meetings. We always couple it up with some sort of resource or value or presentation or something. So, also like I said, you don't have to be somebody that's a toxic person because of everything that you say. It could be for not speaking up at all. And I don't want people to sit there and say like, oh, well, I'm just a more reserved person. Am I going to like be asked to leave the brokerage? No, but like complacency rubs off on people and being lackadaisical and
If you're
not
gonna be lackadaisical,
caring,
then have the sales to
not
back
working.
it up.
Right. You can not say one word in the group chat, but if you're killing it, then by all means.
Yeah.
That's the
There's
difference.
obviously something there that somebody else could value from as well. Like,
Right.
there's something in that.
That's the difference. And
Yeah.
it's like, that's also why we don't hire part-time agents. Like we are a brokerage where like you're here full-time. I'm not here for you just to hang your license. This is not just like a quick in and out stop where like you're just going to hang your license and move on because of how much resources we pour into the agents and how much of this that we float financially for people just to say, I'm just going to hang my license here, pay a small little fee and move on. Like that's not how we built our brokerage and our model. And so that's why I think some people might think it's a little ruthless, but at the end of the day though, like it's us paying the bills.
I think in 2 years, and this is my original like 2-year goal, was obviously bigger headquarters, bigger space, bigger home base. But I think we will have a separate office somewhere in San Antonio. I think we'll have by a 2-year mark of not next year, but into 2025, that we'll be on the cusp of something that we need something else somewhere else. Either whether it's in Austin, whether it's in the city that we're growing in, Houston maybe. So my goal is obviously in proximity, short-term proximity, is to grow Houston, San Antonio, Austin a lot. And then in 10 years, I really want to touch into those states. Because as markets change.
See, in other states, I feel like that could be like a 5-year thing.
Okay. Well, 5 years then. Well, markets change, and sometimes it takes a while for it to San Antonio. And, it's LA, New York, San Antonio, and so, or Texas. So there's different market shifts. And I think if one market's doing bad or one market's having a slow pace, the other market's doing really well. And I like the idea of replicating what we built here in other places. And obviously, you and I love to meet new people. We love to network. We love to learn new things. Our mindset is always like growth. And who can we meet? Who can we click with? How can
we connect?
Who can
At
we
least
help
that's for me. I'm always like, who can I connect and put people in touch with, and what kind of like resource or information can I give them? Like, how can I make somebody better, or how can I make them stronger or
that's
faster,
why the brokerage
or grow their
really,
business?
That's what we do really well too. Is you have connections, I have connections, agents have connections. Everybody knows internally as a culture that we're all looking to help each other out.
Right.
Before a listing goes on market, we talk about it. Maybe they got a buyer, and so there's always like a benefit to having that type of culture in a brokerage, and that's something I really pride ourselves on, is that we're able to do that with everybody here. That's important.
I feel like we've talked a lot about like, wow, we're so great.
We are.
What is where is one area that you feel like you have like imposter syndrome, or where is an area that you feel like you could work on, or that you wish you were better at, or
none? No.
Humility.
I'll tell you. Okay, so I'm so driven on video, on social media. On my business thrives on that. I think the brokerage thrives on that. But one area that I'm not keen on or not focused heavily into that I know works because other agents do it is just simple direct mailing, farming, the basic things that agents did for a long time that I never really did. Like I started out and I went straight to video, and I never really did the farming thing. I never really sent out postcards. I never really sent out the holiday. I never did that stuff. And that system of my business was not automated. What was automated was creating content, creating listing videos. That stuff was like rinse and repeat. But the basic stuff, the foundational postcards and mail outs are stuff that I know about it. I can do it. Do I want to teach it to agents? Probably not.
Right.
But it's something that in our business that I think that we probably need to automate more. And that's probably one area where I'm not the best at yet.
There's always room for improvement.
I
Mine,
don't know.
I think, is like really dialing in on systems and processes. Like I want every single aspect of this business to run on a system or a process, or to be run by one person in charge of that division, whether it's just a hiring and firing manager, whether we have somebody that's just in charge of gifting, whether we have somebody that's just in charge of events, one social media person. Like I want every single person to be really good at their one job.
Yeah.
And at their one thing. And I think that's going to take a little bit of like sweat equity and elbow grease on my end to build those systems and build those playbooks out, and then be able to pass them off and train them, because I can't be 12 different employees in one. I am right now, and I wear a lot of hats. But it would be nice to be able to like delegate off and say, okay, that you and I, we have 12 people that come and talk to us, and we're like, all right, marketing team, where are we at with this? All right, done.
I think we're close.
I think we are on the.
so
we are. It's just a matter of finding the right hires.
I mean, between property management, between the media, between even internal operations. Like I think we meet once a month, property management twice a month, operations 4 times a month. So I mean, there's internally, I mean, you're here a lot, but with the baby and stuff, that those roles have kind of shifted. So we're kind of at a point to where I think we're almost at the point where we can delegate pretty well and have.
I think we need a few more people on. You have operations and you have your TCs and you have all those people that help you run your business. There's only so much that you can delegate out that you still have to do, but for the most part, you can leverage and delegate a lot out. I would love to be able to have like a marketing person or a marketing coordinator, a social media person, a full-time social media person, like content creator, social media, and then maybe like some sort of like events person, like somebody that does events really well. Like they studied that, because there are people that are just made for that. So then that way, every single one of our events is like a slam dunk, and you and I aren't worrying about napkins.
Events are tedious.
And cups and all that, because something's always going to fall by the wayside, because
I think we also care a lot.
And I also care about the vibe of how you care about the financials of it, of like what part of this is going to return,
right?
Where do we need to spend our money? What's going to be the highest and best use of our money? And me, I'm like, what's going to create a good vibe? What's going to be Instagrammable? What's going to make people interested? What's going to make it look like we didn't just throw this event together? So I feel like being able to have like a full-time event person that like elevates every single thing that we do, and then having a marketing person, and then having like a marketing coordinator, and then having like a social media person. Then those are my 3. You have your operations, you have somebody to do your DAs, you have your TC, you have all. I think you need a personal assistant, and then like a gifting person too. I think to be able to have somebody that's like just focuses on gifting, loving on the brokerage, loving on the agents, loving on our clients. Kind of figuring out all that. But that's just you and I. I mean, I feel like this is just like another Tuesday for you and I to talk about. Like, this is just
some of our dates.
This is literally what you and I talk about at dinner. Or
well,
like
the good
in
thing
car.
is, the first podcast is you and I think the future ones will have very, very notable and credible people that have those systems built into place that we can talk to you about, learn about.
But I also think like, okay, we should, number one, if you feel like you fit the criteria for any of those jobs, let us know.
Yeah, because we're not putting it on Indeed.
I'm not going to go and put an ad out on, what's it called? Monster or something. Like, I'm not putting an ad out, because that's not organic.
There's somebody going to watch this that's going to
say, I fit that bill. I want to bleed a team culture, or I love what they've been doing. So that, and then number 2, like also what do people want to see or hear? Like, I don't want to be another one of those podcasts that like all we do is we're just talking about us.
Yeah.
It's like great to lay the foundation for people that maybe don't know the kind of the details. But also like, what do you want to see and what do you want to hear? And I know we're going to start doing some segments, some reoccurring segments. Do you want it to be real estate related? Do you want it to be working with your spouse related? Do you want it to be balancing it all? Like now after this, like we have to coordinate who's picking up our kids, and like, does Stella have swim today? And what's the plan? Like,
Does she have
there's
swim today?
no
Oh,
tomorrow.
well, I kind of picked the name myself. Moving
You and I
Mirror.
did have some other names.
I like the name. I like the name. I like Moving Mirror
You
because
and
everybody
I-
here that we're going to bring on as a guest there's going to be something to learn off them to mirror their movements, to reflect on, and I think that's a really important aspect
Right.
of this podcast.
So also, like, if there's anybody that you want to see on the podcast or somebody that you want to see or hear from,
We got to get Nikki Salter again. She's phenomenal.
Nikki
She's
Salter is
brilliant.
incredible.
And then Tomas.
I feel like
who's a
I credit
mentor.
everything I know to her.
Yeah, Tomas.
You and I
always
run
come
our
on.
life based off of her model of life for the most part. Tomas is fantastic.
Yeah.
Both of those people have been very influential in our career.
Mhm.
And have been great mentors and great leaders. And also, it goes back to not burning bridges. Those are both our former employers.
Oh yeah, I didn't think about that.
Yeah, they're both our former employers. Nikki
Yeah.
employed me,
That's funny.
and I actually left her
Yeah.
because I felt called back to title. And then you left Tomas because you wanted to do real estate full time. And so that just goes back to like burning bridges. I mean, I think a lot of people can't go back and talk to their former employer for one reason or another. And so both of them have been extremely supportive and have offered up a lot of their time and energy and efforts and everything towards supporting us. So those two would be great to have on. And then y'all let us know who else you want us to have on.
I think
And
we covered a lot of ground.
we covered
we-
a lot.
How long was this podcast? Too long? Just kidding.
An hour?
All right.
Exactly.
We'll cut it off then. We'll see you guys next time on Moving Mirror
You can find us at Realty Evoke,
and
At
at Moving Mirror Podcast.
Moving Mirror Podcast, at davidjr.broker,
Yeah.
at Alana Dant.
All right. The end. Bye, y'all.
Oh, shoot.